So again, on the side panel, I have all my windows open, and you can organize those just by going into the windows. It'll bring up the current layer, and you can click and hide these. You can add these icons up in here so you have them. But the layers panel is the one, again, that has the graphic layout there, and then here's the image. I can just click to close that. So when you take a look at this logo, it has a linear quality to it, so I'm just going to start off with the easier parts first. So I select the P for pen tool, and just if I start in the bottom left, this is a good exercise using the pen tool. And as you can see, if I have something selected, I can zoom in pretty close and see this. This rubber banding shows the second point, but if I click on it, it'll make it into a corner point and lets me go to that corner and drag out the handle. And again, clicking this particular section to drag that across. So I haven't hidden the fill of this yet, but just to show it to you, here's the hiding of that particular fill, and then coming up to this top section. So you can kind of see. Now if you want to get real accurate with this section, I have it selected and just clicking a bit in the piece down here. So it's letting me create this piece all the way across with these arched segments. And you can kind of see I'm just kind of clipping its way down here. So the two handles come out, and if you can see this, the clicking of it is going to give me that stretching out of the handles a little bit easier. So here again, so it's just making this first line makes it a little bit easier with that particular pen tool again. And again, I can come down here just to set that first curve and then finish it off. And I'm holding the spacebar down while it's zoomed in, so just so I can work. There's a corner point. So like I said, it's always good to try to do the first things that you think are easiest to start off with. And then here's the selection. I want to deselect this point, so I'm just going to either click the tool in the toolbar, or easier, just hold the command key and click off into a blank space, and that allows me to zoom out of this. And then command plus just to go with this particular shape. Now this is going to be a shape. Whether I fill it in or not isn't going to matter, but I can drag this down, and if it'll automatically scroll down to get this. Now if you take the direct selection tool, which allows you to select these handles on either side, and inside of this, depending on if the handle was created in the first place. If not, so here's the stroke. If not, I can actually go in the pen tool and go to the anchor point tool at the bottom. Looks like a little triangle, and that allows me to click and drag these points out or bring them back. And it also allows you to drag out individual points. So here's the one that's created for here, and clicking back it'll start it to give you a new direction to it. So that gives you that selection. Okay, so that has the first kind of the segment here, but a couple other little pieces here. I'll just kind of click on there, make that curve, set this corner point, and if it transposes itself here. So it's just a matter of using some of the modifier keys to help you. As you can see, so I have a couple more of these little triangular shapes. So here I'm going to start the curve first at a corner point, and when I go back, it's going to be double switch, so I have to hold the option key down this time to set it as a corner point. So the pen tool is also shows up in just about every one of the softwares, so you want to be aware of how to use it. Holding the space bar down, I'm going to deselect it so it's not connected, just the option key. And you're trying to get the least amount of points for the path that you create. And again, why this is highlighted, under the stroke panel, up at the top, you have all these options that you can manipulate. So you can kind of see the thin and thick stroke. For this one, you can change some of this. Quit kicking the chair. Making me dizzy. And that'll give you a little bit of a change there. And then the last part is trying to create the overall lettering that's built here. So you could look at this as one piece or one stroke, or try to outline all the different parts and then create the shape and illustrate that section separately. So I'm just going to click on this with the pen tool again and zoom in on it. And this time I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go up here to the thickness of it. I'm going to get a little thickness to this. I'm going to change maybe the profile just to show it to you. That's one possibility. But then this tool, it's about the 7th one down. It's called the width tool. When you click on it, watch what happens. If I come anywhere along here, it'll make the width of this tool. I can just select it. I can take this point and add to this, change this down from the top to the bottom. It can come all the way down to the end if it needs to. And it'll build this shape on either side. And then I can take the pen tool and simply create that arrow point there. Here I just switch it so it fills into black. Okay. So the width tool is there. But you can see there's some detail that's involved in here, so I could build that up like this. Just kind of looking at these as separate segments right now. And kind of give that look to it. So I have it as a fill and no stroke, so I'll show you what that's going to look like. So that creates that path. And then I can come over on this side and just kind of clicking, I'm just going to keep them as straight line segments. Shift X will also transfer from the foreground to background of the fill and the stroke. Again, Shift X will give you that piece. So a couple different ways to look at this. So I'm just looking at these as separate shapes, and watch what will happen when I want to combine them. So here's Shift X again. And just start down here. So it gets a little bit of this texture that they have. Shift X will bring it back to the path so I can see through it. Here's another one. So here I'm just kind of coming down here. And like I said, there's many ways to do a similar function that you want. But here I've made them into shapes and just backing up. So now, when I click this, you'll see each one of these is a shape. Going to undo it, and for example this D, I'm just going to select with the shift key, clicking down so it selects all three of these, and if I swap them you can see they're three separate pieces. But under the Pathfinder, when you take a look, if you have it listed, the top left corner is going to give you that image in order to change, and then here's where you can give it a different color into that. So same with this one. Here's this selection. Just shift key to select the next one. And it has this little arrowhead down here at the bottom. And if I swap this out, here's the Pathfinder. You can see that this one, since I drew this with the pen tool, I'll take that out. Just go to Object. And you can kind of create the path or outline the stroke, and that'll give it into that section. But it's easiest just use the pen tool to create the entire segment for it. depending on how you have this highlighted, here's the outline of the stroke. Okay, so I can shift key these two together and just group them together. So you can keep them as separate, or you can also do the Pathfinder and make them all one shape. So it's a little bit of a segment. And I can drag a selection box around all of these pieces. And with the eyedropper, if I already created this shape up here, I can just click on it, and it'll give me a little bit of additional thickness to it. And then in the Layers panel, just hide the mid one. Hit the Tab key that takes away all of the palettes. And then here you can do a Command-Shift-4, and that's going to give you this